Let's see. All right, we are live, and we'll wait a few seconds just to make sure people are watching. Hold on, good people. I'm going to grab the stream for some of you guys who might be watching this on the replay. Y'all are hearing us talk before we get started, but y'all know how it goes. You guys watch live TV, you know. We're just going to talk. We're going to let a little bit of a crowd come in, and then we're going to get started. But before we get started, as you can see, myself, Smitty, and our brother in Sim Gaming, Sim Gaming Network. Most of you guys who are watching this knows him. If you don't, you should get to know him. Longtime veteran like Smitty and myself, all about the Sim Gaming. You guys would probably know him mostly for his slider work. What an outstanding job he does with his sliders, not just Madden. I mean, he's NBA 2K. I ain't even seen him fooling around with NHL. I saw it. I don't know if he does FIFA, but the man is here. Y'all hear me say SGN quite often when I'm showing Madden videos, so that is him. But we have a few people here watching, guys, so we'll go ahead and get started. For those of you that are not watching live, y'all will be on soon, so the topic of the night is Madden 26, the reveal. Before we get started, though, I will throw it to Smitty as well as SGN. If there's anything that you guys just want to say before we dive right into the topic, have at it. So you're up, Smitty. Anything you want to add before we get into the goodies?
Yes, it's move the goalpost season. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. So that's all I'm gonna say for now. We about to get into this though, man. So that's it.
SGN, man, definitely please introduce yourself again if you want. In case there's anybody that doesn't know who you are, anything you want to promote, you just want to say hello. Floor is yours.
I'm here to say I'm here to enjoy the ride, man. I'm just happy to be here. As far as my opening comments, based on what we've seen for college football and for Madden, my feeling is, can we just skip summer? Because I really I just want to know, man. Like, I hate this, the unknown part of it. Like, because everything looks really good right now, but the execution part, and I just don't want to wait. I want to know.
Absolutely. I'm with you. It's so much I want to say, and I'm going to ask my panel here, man, my brothers here. Do you guys want to do it like kind of like the style, like how I did my video earlier, where we look at each piece, or do we want to assume everybody has seen it and we just give our overall thoughts? I don't even know where to start. I definitely ask you guys how y'all want to approach it, man.
Ask your chat. I'm down for whatever.
It's whatever, man. Like we can just go ahead and we can start chopping it down.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do it. So I'm going to pull up the article and I'm going to share it. What I was going to do that I'm not going to do is, I was going to show the trailer. And maybe I'll start there while I'm pulling up the document, the Gridiron Notes. Guys, we never try to tell you guys what to think, but it seems like it's a repeat cycle, right? Smitty and I have been in this game long enough. And when I say the game, I'm talking about when we were going down to EA and people would see trailers and they're crying and screaming and kicking them. Like, the trailer is just sizzle. The trailer is never going to tell us what the three of us here want to see. Never. It is going to basically show you aspects that is being promoted. But all of the low down gritty stuff like SGN finding out that CPU quarterbacks won't scramble, that type of stuff we don't see in the trailer. Or how much weight and momentum matters or not. We don't see these things in the trailer. So I don't know why we're getting up in arms over the trailer. So I don't even want to waste my time there, even though I will say trailer wasn't half bad as far as the showing off signature styles. Like I was a little impressed by that. It was moments where I had to say, wait, was that the game or was that the real deal? Like, especially on the Mahomes throw, even better to Josh Allen. I was like, hey, smooth transition right there. And I'm sure we'll get to it, Smitty, but this is stuff we asked for years. But anyway, I don't want to. Let's get to the actual.
Right. We'll get
I don't want to skip ahead. So what I'm gonna do? Let me get it up here, guys. What I'm gonna do is I'll kind of somewhat narrate, throw a topic out there, and we'll all chime in on it. We'll try to get through this as quick as we can. Hold on, let me present 1 second. I mean, we all still have lives and jobs and family, and so we ain't gonna be here all night, even though y'all would want us to be. Let's see what we got. So first and foremost, let's start with gameplay. We don't really have to. Well, I am gonna read this blurb because in the beginning, this very beginning here, I liked a couple things that they said. Not the buzzwords of real world NFL data and tendencies. Of course, that's beautiful, but it caught my eye when they said strategic or strategizing around real X's and O's of football. That's what we're going to hold them to the fire about. Y'all already know that. But again, let's start with the high bullet points and we'll keep it rolling. So let's talk QB DNA. I'll say my little piece. We'll throw it to Smitty, and then he goes to SGN, and we'll keep it rolling like that. If this pans out the way that they're advertising it, all I can say is wow. It's reminiscent of, I don't even remember what year it was. I'm sure Smitty will because he's the historian of the Sim standard. I remember talking to Rex while at EA Play or one of those, might have been E3, and there was a question that he asked us. And he said, hey, would you rather us focus on, at that time, they was calling it player code or something. Remember, Smitty?
Yeah.
Or would you rather us focus on whatever the thing was then? This is probably 2015, 2016.
Yeah. Yep.
We continued to say, well, we need AI and player code should be signature styles and all of that. Like, and I believe somebody actually used the word of QB DNA. It might have been Shopmaster. So to see this, it took me down memory lane. And I'm going to be brief here. This right here is major. I know SGN is going to talk about it, so I'm not even going to steal his thunder. This is all I could think about is him when I read this. Guys, y'all have no idea how big this could be for the offline gamer. And I'm going to talk about that too later. Don't let me forget, guys. I want to really talk about offline versus online. But this right here is amazing. If it works, let's preference all of our comments with TBD. If it works, how it's executed. But I have zero beef with this QB DNA, and I will keep it brief. Smitty, what are your thoughts on what they're representing here with, or presenting, I guess I would say, with QB DNA, and what does it mean to you? Good, bad, indifferent? Let us know what you got, brother.
Well, what this reminds me of, this reminds me a lot of how NBA 2K broadened their horizon when it came to animating superstars. Because remember, at first it was only superstar players. Then it went from that to superstars and some stars. Then it went to stars, rookies, role players, signature rookies. Then it was like all the rookies. And the main reason why they're able to do that is because they expanded the animation library. Now, when you're talking about 500 new animations, 500 new quarterback animations in regards to what specifically? You see what I'm saying? We don't know that part, but to see you got Pat Mahomes and you got Josh Allen, what if you got Jordan Love? You got all the QBs and their respective backups that represent the NFL, but then now what about the generics? Can you honestly, and we're talking about how the player physics, player movement, of course, stances, what kind of, if you create a player in 2K, they got all the different packages, for different movements and everything. So what I'm saying is, do you have stuff to represent different types of pocket presence quarterbacks, scrambling quarterbacks, athletic quarterbacks, right? Mid-level and supreme scramblers, mid-level like Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, big-time runners, Michael Vick. He just slipped my mind that quickly. Ravens QB, my man, Lamar Jackson. Yeah, there it is. So it's like, yeah, when you have that kind of range, now when it comes to rookies coming in, incoming draft classes, things like that, right? Backups, things like that. It'll be nice to be able to see that you can have that library honestly expand and truly be unique in terms of how the gameplay is overall altogether. So what I'm curious about too is, and I know they don't say it here, we'll have to wait for the deep dive is, but do we have authentic, along with these authentic player, stances and tendencies or what have you, do we also have authentic trajectories? Are we actually going to have, is the trajectory paradigm going to be lifted? Because looking in that trailer, and I know it's in engine footage and all that stuff, but seeing how Jordan Love lost his footing, got right back up and threw it and got clapped as he threw it. So, because the way the trajectories are in Madden right now, it's like everybody got the same trajectory. So it's like, so are we going to have different trajectories that are going to go with these official quarterbacks? But then also, are we going to get those trajectories for if you make Joe generic? What about an ultimate team if I got John Elway versus Dan Marino? Can we actually have Dan Marino?
Yeah.
His high point. Can we get the way he throws the ball? Just ... Brett Favre ... You see what I'm saying? Now, Aaron Rodgers ain't throwing it like that now, but when in his prime, though, Aaron Rodgers was ...
Hold on. ... Still a nation don't want to hear nothing about no Aaron Rodgers. Just for the record. Carry on.
But I'm just saying though, like, are we going to, is that horizon going to be broadened along with the physics? Because that's my thing. If you're talking about whether, and I know I'm kind of jumping around, but I'm just saying though, pulling from the trailer, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, okay, so he's able to still throw it. Now I wonder, how would it look from a gameplay perspective when he took that hit? What was that trajectory like? That's what I'm wondering. So if they're able to showcase that, man, and show that differential. So with that being said, though, yes, I like seeing you got the data driving it, the DNA, you got all that stuff. Cool. I love all of that. Just like what my man said, E-Ray, what he had said when he went to the studio. And he played it. Kyler Murray. He tucked the ball in and he scrambled. And the way he was running like how he runs. He has more of like a scamper style of scramble. He's not like a full-out sprinter, but he still will get down the field on you. So to see he was running in his own unique way, it's like, oh, okay, so they got that kind of detail in there. Okay, cool. So that's why I'm really impressed with that. But outside of the scramble bits and their tendencies, their awarenesses, like how they react in the pocket, things like that. Like if I play against Jared Goff and he starts getting popped, is he gonna start playing rattled? Because he does. When he gets cracked a few times, all of a sudden he's frantic at that QB spot now. His composure is dang near shot. So that's why I'm like, are we going to see all of that in the game? Beyond just how they do. But that's a more in-depth gameplay thing. But that's part of the DNA. So that's part of it.
Yeah.
We don't know how far the well goes specifically this year, but I'm just saying, if anything, those things I'm talking about, are we going to see trajectories? Are we going to see authentic trajectories? Are we also, and just seeing outside of the official quarterbacks, what about these other QBs? What about guys that are second, third on the depth chart? What about at least Detroit? What about Hendon Hooker? You know what I mean? Like you don't truly have his authentic per se, but at the same time, do you have animations that you can replicate him with? It doesn't have to be him, but it's in the ballpark of him.
Right.
And any incoming rookie. So if we got something like that, bravo. So, but go ahead, SGN. Throw it to you.
Real quick before I pass it to SGN, I just wanted to state this one buzzword that Smitty said that is stuck in my mind is real NFL data. So to add to what Smitty said really quick, what all does that encompass? Because that could be a lot. So I'm wondering how far they went this go round. And the stuff that Smitty is saying, if it's not there, I think it should make it easier to get these elements now. If even what their advertising is delivered upon, then now, I mean, the foundation is laid. But I just want to know what that data is. So I am very curious as well, Smitty, for these deep dives to get a little more understanding.
Yeah.
But FGN, please, man, what you got on it?
Man, I'm excited because quarterback's most important position in football, and it's been the position that has needed the most love in Madden for since they went to the Frostbite engine. Because at that time is when they brought in the archetype system, and I believe that the archetype system really messed around with the quarterback play that they had on the Ignite engine. And I actually made a video on this comparing the quarterback play in Madden 15 versus Madden 25. And, what Smitty talked about with the tendencies, I'm super excited about because NBA 2K has player tendencies. MLB The Show has player tendencies, especially for hitting. Madden has never had tendencies for a position. They've had these traits, which are very watered down and as basic as you can get with how they'll impact a player play. My excitement for this means that in Madden, if you look at Madden 25, if you have two quarterbacks who are rated in 85 overall, how do they play different from each other outside if one's a pocket quarterback and one's a scrambler? There's no real tell in the difference between a Dak Prescott and a Jared Goff if they're, for example, rated 85 overall. This should mean that quarterbacks of the same caliber are going to feel different when you play against them. Yep. And I'm super excited for that. I hope that this is something they build off of next year and bring this to other positions as far as tendencies. When you look at offensive line, tendencies for their blocking, their feet mechanic, DBs, tendencies for jumping routes, specific routes. Maybe they jump more than others, or maybe they play back in their coverage a little bit more than other ones. Maybe they, are more susceptible to wrap their arm around a wide receiver and get flagged for DPI, right? So I don't expect that to be in this year's game, but if they can build off of this for next year, I think that's going to be fantastic. The one thing they didn't mention that I really hope they talk about when they go into more of the quarterback DNA in the gameplay developer diary is, are quarterbacks going to step up in the pocket? Because the CPU quarterbacks don't step up in the pocket. They drop back, they scan, and if there's nobody open, they drop back further. And EA did a wonderful job a couple years ago by fixing the pocket formation so those edge rushers actually created that pocket. And this was a big thing that they did to combat It wasn't for us franchise guys, but it helped us. But it was for to combat the online rollout spam. So they did a great job of edge rushers, creating that pocket, and for the quarterbacks to need to step up in there, which as a user you do, but when you play the CPU, they do not. And I've watched you play. We've all watched each other play games. We've all ran into it. We get those sacks against the CPU quarterback, not because of anything special we did, because they decided to run into an edge rusher coming on the edge instead of just stepping up in the pocket. And so for me, will they step up in the pocket? That's the huge one for me. I love the tendencies. I love that they're doing that. I think we're going to see quarterbacks play it a completely different way than we have before, but I need to know if they got that foundation on the pocket.
Man, two things really quick. And I know, guys, on my screen, as far as in StreamYard, is grayed out. So you guys viewing it might not be able to see this, but I'm going to read a piece. It says, does your quarterback in real life throw more often to the right side of the field? Joe Burrow, for example, will be more likely to set his feet before throwing than other quarterbacks. Josh Allen, as fearless as he is in real life, will be trucking defenders as he takes a chance to scramble for a first down instead. So again, this is the reason why I ask, how far does this DNA go?
Right.
Because that could answer the question that SGN just said. Some quarterbacks might be more apt to step in the pocket. I'll give you a quarterback who got drafted in the 5th round that does that. Shedeur Sanders. He's more of a pocket guy unless he bails and gets sacked. But are we going to see that type of thing? Is that a part of the DNA? Right. Are we going to see Joe Burrow with the subtle quickness in the pocket, but he's more so in the pocket, plants his feet? Sounds like it, but we got to see it. The only other thing I wanted to say before we get to coaching DNA, y'all know me and Smitty like to give y'all tidbits when we can. Years ago, shout out to my boy Scant. I know, I don't know if Scant still watches the show, but I remember being in EA having a conversation with Scant. Smitty might have been there that time. I can't remember. But we were talking about tendencies, right? Imagine this. He talked about the dev tendencies on defense where different corners play cover 2 differently. A-Dub saying, some of them press up, some of them lay back, some of them got a tail, right? They show you where they're going. Some of them lean. That's the kind of stuff that these guys talked about then.
Yeah.
This is what, Smitty, easily 8 years ago.
Yeah,
7, 8 years, maybe.
Yeah, this was before. Yeah, this was before PS4. For sure. So yeah, this is before that.
Again, going back to what SGN said, with the tendency, that type of stuff, I just want y'all to know these are the things that the devs think about too. Like, man, I want it to be like this. Because like me and Smitty sitting there and Azure, we telling them what we want to see in coverage, and then they hit you with, the dev is saying, no, I want to see it this way. I want to see this guy, plays this cover 2 this way. And this guy, I'm like, oh, okay, y'all, yeah. Now we here.
And that's, hold on, and just piggyback off what you're saying there real quick. I don't want to go too far, but I just want to say, this is the overall point. This is exactly why me and Sim and even AZ, this is kind of why we just kind of like, we let our foot off the gas with the whole, man, they ain't going. That's why. Because when they saying that to us,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was at that point, and we like, oh, so it's not that y'all don't, so you want to, but they gotta let y'all. And if they don't let y'all, then this is a problem. And so that's why we're saying to you guys at the end of the day, the way this looks right here, this is what Sim and I have been saying for years. And I was saying this to SGN even offline. When those execs let the dev team cook, I'm telling you, It all comes down to execution, of course. But if they let the devs teams cook, this is what we can get. This is what that looks like.
Yeah. And that's a good question that my man just had. I want to answer that after we get through this, because.
But yeah, that's all. I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say that because this is the. Doesn't this sound exactly like Rex player code? Doesn't it sound like player code, Sim?
That's it, man.
No, I mean, doesn't it sound like player code to me? This sounds like player code to me. You know
this
what I'm
is
saying?
it.
You know what I mean? This sounds like what Rex was talking about after Madden 6, was it 15 or 16, I think. And he was saying player code. Now, if they say they got hand sizes and wingspans, that's when I'll lose it. But you know, because that's what Rex was talking about in the studio. Yeah. He was saying, like, I want to actually get the hand sizes and wingspans of the receivers and DBs, so we can actually get those true wideout DB interactions in the game. See, he was talking the talk. He wanted to build it, but they wouldn't let him do it. And that's what I'm saying. If this screams to me that they're letting them do it. Now, for what reason, that's another discussion. But I'm saying it's like it screams that they're letting them finally do it. And if they're able to do it, I'm telling y'all, this is what can come out. So, but go ahead, man. Go ahead, Sam.
Can I add one thing before we move to Coach TNA?
Yeah.
I have a sneaky suspicion, because if you think about how they're implementing quarterback DNA, I have a sneaky suspicion that they've done away with archetypes, and I will be so happy if they did. Because how do you have an archetype with the tendency? You know what I mean? Like, you don't need the archetype because the tendency will do it. You don't need to have both.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And I don't like, and the thing is they have 4 archetypes in the game, but pretty much every quarterback rated 80 and above is a field general, with the exception of a handful that are improvisers. You don't see hardly any strong arm. Like Josh Allen, rocket arm, isn't even a strong arm quarterback in Madden. He's an improviser. And so the archetypes were all, for the most part, tied to like overalls. Lower rated quarterbacks were scramblers, and as they got better, they'd turn into field generals. And then if they were a little bit athletic but were part field general, then they turn into improvisers, which is why you don't see a lot of scramblers. You know, Kyler Murray's a scrambler, I think, but he's like rated in the 70s. You just see a lot of field generals, hardly any strong arm quarterbacks. And I kind of think that the archetype system is ran its course, right? Like, where you run an offense built around a guy having a strong arm, or is a field general, or is an improviser. I don't think teams build their offense whether a guy can throw on the run or not, you know, to an extent maybe, but maybe I'm off base on that. I don't know.
No, it's a good point, because it makes me think about something else, right? And guys, we're gonna move on. I promise y'all, crowd. But this is what happens when you get to talking. But I'm gonna move us along. They mentioned something about 50 new traits, right? And I don't know this. SGN might know this because of how he tinkers with sliders and such. Did you notice that were some of the traits also tied to the archetypes? Where certain archetypes will have this trait and that trait. So maybe SGN is on to something. And maybe this is why we're getting, because how my mind is going to, how do you add 50 traits on top of what's there? So, great point. Great point. Because again, guys, remember when archetypes came in, and me and Smitty were there for that, you know, and many others that would go down. We encouraged that because what we encouraged was player likeness, player uniqueness. That's what you always heard us preach, and that's where I'm sure the archetypes came into play, and we were happy when they came, and traits came into play, and we were happy. But then SGN knows this better than anybody else. There's certain traits that absolutes and those abilities, it just kills the sim aspect of the game. Nothing is absolute. So now, hopefully, this is the evolution of that, having this DNA. So we'll see. But speaking of which, I'll be very brief with this one. Coach DNA, man, this is a huge one for me. As big, if not, I'm not going to say bigger than the QB, but they are neck to neck. Because again, playing offline, being a franchise gamer and a content creator, and we like to build these stories and we want the game to be challenging. If this works out as advertised, where the coaches are actually running their real life scheme, and there was a buzzword that I saw here, machine learning, powered by machine learning, stemming from years of real world data. Coach DNA mirrors the unique styles and philosophy of NFL coaches. They talk about Smitty's boy on 4th and 3rd. You know, it used to be what they used to call old boy Rivera, Riverboat Ron. No. Dan Campbell has taken that over. Because Dan Campbell, I be cheering and screaming for him all the time. Like, why would you? Good call. He's a gambler. I love that personality, and I told Smitty, I like seeing that culture that he's brought to the Lions, man. It's him all over that team. It's cool. But if we can get that in our franchise, what?
Right.
Well, I really have to be paying attention. I can't be happy to stopping them on 4th and 4. If he had the 50, I got to be going, ooh, they might go for it. That is immersion.
You go for that fake punt.
You know So this is an offline gamer's dream. So that's all I got. I'm excited. So I'm going to keep my comments short. This excites me like no other. What you got, Smitty?
No, man. I mean, look, I'll just say, like, you know, having all the personalities and tendencies. But the cool thing is, number one, I want to see that unique play call diversified. You know what I mean? I want to see that. The diversification, there it is, where it slipped my mind. But yeah, great to see that. I want to see that, excuse me, because I can't say if we've seen it yet. We don't know. But I would love to see that, because that's why I love playing. Shout out to Sabo and all them cats.
Oh,
they're going to have a field day with this game.
I ain't fooling with them on this one. I ain't fooling with them, Smitty.
They're going to have a field day with this game.
I couldn't take it. I couldn't handle it.
I'm telling you, they're gonna have a field freaking day with this game, bro. For real. So I can't wait to get. That's another reason why I'm excited about it. But anyway, the thing is, when you're looking at the play calling tendencies and things like that, that's why I love Sabo, like I was saying, because they would actually program those kind of tendencies, like manipulate it so that those tendencies would play out in the game. It's like EA literally was paying attention to what those cats was doing, and look what they did here. You see what I'm saying?
They've talked to some of them.
Yeah, they had to have been talking to those cats.
They did.
So there's no way they did right. So, but what I like also is the overhaul with the coaching suggestions. You know, now what I'm saying is that, you know, like they're saying here, if you play as the Lions, DC will offer various suggestions depending upon the down and distance, true to the Lions' tendencies, and mirror the way he talks. On top of that, having real-time coaching AI where the CPU teams will make pre-snap adjustments and suggest play calls that specifically counter your tactics, driving the vision or teaching X's and O's. Like, come on. This is helping you not only learn from the standpoint of you as an end user, but, you know, this can help people possibly transition from just using those suggestions, unless you're just trying to, you know, make it more of a dice roll challenge for yourself and say, let me just pick from what they select in comparison to calling the plays yourself. And now let's see what the defense does.
What do you think that mirror the way he talks mean? Do you think that's literally?
I don't think they would actually.
So do you remember Madden 13 and they introduced game flow? And you had the coordinator talk in your ear. I love that. I wish they wouldn't have got rid of that.
I wonder because we're gonna find out, but that stood out to me when it said and mirror the way he talks.
If they do that, and they some way somehow, I highly doubt they got.
Maybe they got permission to like
or some of his audio,
AI, his voice.
Yeah.
To you know what I mean? Maybe these coaches
that's possible.
Signed off for like let the game have AI just use their voice to read off all these play calls. Or something like that.
Yeah. You know what?
Machine learning.
This is the day and age we in, right? So they could AI all the coaches. I'm pretty sure Belichick ain't in the league no
This is all speculation, folks. Don't take nothing we're saying.
I'm just saying that would be tight though.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie.
We're just trying to piece it together.
Yeah, like that would be tight if that's true. So, but I like this system because the key thing here with all of these different aspects is that there are stakes involved with all of this. Everything. QB tendencies, how they move, how they play, how they throw.
Mm-hmm.
Coach tendencies, how they call plays, counteracting, even from the suggestions and things like that. Like, this is cool. And I like this. So, like, no, I love what this is bringing to the forefront. Like, I'm excited. I really want to get my hands on that. But, yeah, both these two parts combined alone, huge difference. Huge difference.
Need that deep dive.
Oh, need that immediately. 40 pages, by the way, according to Scott OG. 40-page gameplay deep dive.
I only got two things on the coach DNA for me. The first thing is I really wish they decided to change the name from coach suggestions to coach game plan, because in its current form, we do have a game plan tab, but all it is when we do our weekly strategy, if we choose we want to run inside, all our game plan is all our ISO handoffs up the middle. There's no actual game plan to it. So I really wish they changed it from suggestions to coach game plan. But for me, as good as all that sounds, for me, I'm going as easy as this on EA for this year. If they can get it to where when I turn on play call cooldown and I have it to where I call a play I can't call again for 10 plays, and then I max it out if I've run it 2 times in a game. If they get it to where I'm not being suggested plays that are locked out because I've called them, I'll call that a win. I had that happen. I made a quick little video on it. Like, all the play call suggestions were plays I've already ran, so I couldn't run them. You know, we got 500 plays in these playbooks. From game to game, we need to have the system be able to go in and pull from these plays, and I hope they redo the situations in the playbooks, because that was like the big cause. You know, if you created your own playbook and you put 60 or 70 plays in a situation, you'd have more recommendations. But for me, that's the thing, is if I can go back to the coach suggestions and have them not suggest plays that are grayed out because of play call cooldowns, I call it a win.
Absolutely. And it's again, the way we read this, it sounds like that should be a possibility, especially again with the machine learning thing. You would think that would be a part of that too, but great point right there, SGN. Let's keep it rolling, guys. Look, I'm going to be very quick with this. Do I even have to say it? The one thing that I complained about last year about Madden, even though I love college football, still playing it, I was like, how do you not put wear and tear in the NFL game? I just couldn't understand that. What I was told, I understood it after I heard it, but it pissed me off. And now that we are a year removed, I will tell you what I was told. The decision was made that they wanted college football to have some thunder. They didn't want Madden to take all of the thunder. I get it. You're bringing the new baby back. I get it. But I kept saying, I understand that, but at the end of the day, football is football. And now that the same studio is making the two football games, the football aspect should be in both games from this point forward. That's the reason why I'm happy that Boom Tech will be going to college football as well.
Yep.
The on-the-field stuff should be the on-the-field stuff, and then you can make college-related stuff and then NFL-related. But so this is a win, and I can't wait to see how in-depth it goes because we've been hearing some things from people who had hands-on that it's like wear and tear 2.0. And then also the depth chart positions, round of applause for that. It's a small thing, but I'm going to give credit to people like Shopmaster on this one who's been saying it for years. Why are we still calling these guys left outside linebacker, right outside linebacker? The fact that they have edge, nose tackle, long snapper. Hope this means, franchise guys, y'all have seen this. I hope this means that we actually have a long snapper and this guy is no longer labeled as a middle linebacker on my team. So
you just pointed out something that also makes me think they're getting rid of the archetype system because currently one of the linebackers has a pass coverage and the down lineman does not. The defensive end does not. They have run stopper, pass rusher, or power rusher and speed rusher. But if you move them to outside linebacker, then suddenly there's a pass coverage. If you're switching it over to edge rusher now, you know what I mean? So you just made me think of another thing that's maybe queuing towards archetypes being removed.
I hope so. And really quick, guys, I skipped over my own highlight here. And I'm going to throw it right to Smitty because y'all just heard what I said about wear and tear. But the one thing I did want to read about the coach DNA, this little piece at the end that says, for our defensive playbooks, you'll find exotic blitz pressures, defensive disguises, and all new stunts and twists. Stunts and twists, guys. And also, it said something in one of these. It might be in the franchise thing, but it said something about coaches that, like guys who will send an exotic blitz, they will do that based on the situation. That's the stuff we're talking about, man, from the CPU. So, all right. Sorry for the backtrack there, but Smitty, man, how you feeling about the wear and tear in the new depth chart positions?
No, I mean the depth chart positions, that's cool for what everybody else had wanted. You know, like I get it. It's part of it. It needs to be there. So I get that part, which is, like I said, it's a good thing. And I'm glad they have it specified. Heck, I can even appreciate the fact that you got how Travis Hunter can be a two-way player.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just legit to a player type like him. You know what I'm saying? So you just can't do that with anybody. Absolutely love that part too. Wear and tear, bro. I mean, the dynamic substitutions, I'll just say the dynamic substitutions, being able to do that on the fly, yes. That's very NFL head coach-esque. Very much like that. So I appreciate that wholeheartedly.
How does that work? If you guys, or Smitty or SGN, how do you foresee that working? Is it just when we're in the play call screen? Like, how does this differ from how we can, you know how now you're in the play call screen and you can change the players out by going through packages?
So I was watching a video and he was talking about how to do it in college football, and I'm assuming it's the same mechanic, that you press up on the D-pad and you do it at like the line of scrimmage for the next play or something like that. And you press up on the D-pad. You don't do it at the play call screen. You do it like when you're at like before the next play, I believe is what, I could be wrong, but I remember him talking about you press up on the D-pad, you can cycle through bringing a player in. Eric Rayweather just said that is correct. Thank you. Yes, you press up on the D-pad and you're able to cycle and that player will come in the next play.
So y'all telling me this is in college football 25?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in both.
It's currently wait. Hold on.
No. It's in the new college football 26.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. I was about to say, how did I miss that? All right, gotcha.
All right. See, yeah, I thought you was talking about 26 too, Sim. I'm like, yeah, they said it in the in the videos and stuff. But yeah, it's in 26.
All right.
Yeah.
No, this sounds like a huge win. All I would ask is that because auto subs are still going to be a part of the game, right? Auto subs have a specific number attached to them, but they took away our fatigue meter that had a number attached to it a couple years ago. I would request we get a fatigue number back. 2K, NBA 2K has you can measure a player's fatigue level, and that would be nice. Instead of having just green, orange, and red for their level, I would like to know, for example, default auto subs are 80-60. A running back will sub out when he hits 59. He subs out and he comes back in when he's back up to 80. I would like to be able to see every single play when he's at 74, and then because one play he didn't do anything, he was still like a 72, but then gave him the ball and he dropped down like a 66 or something like that. I can see it in real time so that I know when he's going to sub out, and I can manage that a little bit. If they could give us a number, otherwise, I mean, this is a win. This is, no matter how you dice it, it's a win.
Outstanding. I don't know where we left off. I think
I was talking wear and tear.
Yeah,
I'll say about wear and tear real quick. Wear and tear, like I said, if they have anything that's resemblance of NFL head coach when it comes to making the substitutions, seeing a player's health on screen, and making the quick sub. See his health, make the quick sub, make the quick adjustment. Because see, this is some battle of attrition type stuff right here. Depending upon how this system is set up and how it works, like what was it? I think Ray Weather said it or something like that. What if your team is looking weak on one side? Matter of fact, that happened with Tampa Bay. Before Aiden got hurt, they had to put a rookie over there, or they had to take a guy off the practice squad and throw him on the edge because their main guy got hurt. You see what I'm saying? And it's like they attacked it. They made sure to dang near line Hutch up across from him all the time. It would be nice to see how wear and tear augments your game plan. What if you're not used to having to shift your protection around? Now you got to shift your protection. What if now, I got to call certain packages because the trenches, which they did say they did work on the trench too. So that's why I'm looking forward to that gameplay deep dive. So that's what I'm saying. So if they make it so the trenches is like that, and you got dudes wear and tear, sore legs, sore this, sore that, i.e. Frank Ragnow, that's when my man retired. But still, if you had that, man, now you're gonna have to put people in positions that you don't necessarily. I mean, we have been chopping it up on the radio about who gonna play center because we don't have we don't necessarily have a center. So it's like, well, we could train this guard we drafted, or we could train this tackle, and we could possibly put this guy here. That's what I'm talking about. That real battle of attrition.
Yes.
And you're really seeing it in real time. And then what if you bring somebody in that ain't familiar with the scheme and everything? His rating may be 75 overall off the street, but he ain't implemented into your system, so he may drop down to a 65. Come on, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you have those kind of impactful things, dog, you know what I'm saying? So that's how
I want it to work, man.
Like, I would love to see that. But I mean, I'm being hypothetical, but overall, the wear and tear is a legitimate strategy tool. I want to see, did they get, they're just mentioning wear and tear, subtle on the surface. But is it wear and tear 2.0 that they're getting along with college? Because just like Sim said, there are football things happening in both games where it's like both games should just happen.
Yeah.
And injuries definitely should be one of it. So if you got wear and tear 2.0 over there in college, 2.0 definitely should be in Madden. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's pretty much, that's all I got on that.
I think it will be. I mean, I don't know. And again, I'm not going to put him on the spot. He knows that. I don't know how much, guys. I'm going to tell y'all right now. I don't know how much E-Ray can share. So don't bog him down with questions. But I'm just going to say this. If he commented on this, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's probably the same version of wear and tear from college, because college is getting the newest version of boom tech. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm assuming, I'm hoping. That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
But SGN, what you got, man? Anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, I was just going to say, piggybacking off of Smitty here, he mentioned, bringing a guy off the street, how that wear and tear is going to affect him. I was thinking, man, and he was talking about NFL head coach, and I was like, well, what if they factored in playbook knowledge as an NFL head coach too?
Right, exactly.
That's, and Ray Weather did say in his video, because I watched it when he dropped it, he couldn't say it without saying it. He's like, they're bringing things in franchise that haven't been in a Madden game before from games over 10 years ago. I think I almost just quoted him word for word. So there's really 3 games that could be, right? Head coach, All Pro Football 2K, and Backbreaker. There's All Pro Football 2K had a season mode, so there's nothing coming from there. Mm-hmm. I don't recall Backbreaker doing anything special. So then it leaves head coach, and of course it makes the most sense with Lumen coming over, and he worked on head coach. And so there's playbook knowledge. And then when you think about how they talk about the head coach DNA and the play calling and all that stuff, it almost seems like a marriage that is there that, I don't know, maybe I'm just being too optimistic or too hopeful, but playbook knowledge coming over would be great, because it was always kind of stupid. Like, we could run through our preseason, and week 1 we could just go sign a quarterback off the street and he would know every single play perfectly. Like,
Lumen is definitely him,
man.
1,000,000%, bro.
One thing to pay attention to, man, I'm just gonna sprinkle this in. Lumen was the creator of head coach.
Oh,
that's number 1. Lumen came to franchise when Smitty and I was still going down there, and we felt like Lumen wasn't utilized the way he wanted to. Remember, he left. Kobe Launchbar from MLB The Show. There's ideas that he told us he wanted. They put him on the ultimate team. He left. Lumen is back. There's others that I know that are back. Hey, OG is back.
Yeah.
That says something to me.
Working on both games.
But that says something to me and all of us as humans. Why would you go back to a job that you didn't like at first, right? EA for some reason has, I don't know what it is. I have a theory, but I may save that for another day. But somehow, some way, the suits have started to wake up. And I am glad they have. So that's all I got on it. Next up, man, wow.
That weather.
Smitty. It's so crazy, Smitty. I can't even remember how many years it was since we talked about the weather.
Oh,
like
before we even went in the building, before they even knew who we were talking about weather. So
I will preface it by saying this, and I think me and SGN are kind of on the same page with a lot of this stuff, is we are understanding that it's a bunch of features, but it's still the first iteration, right? So I'm not expecting perfection, but the mere fact that the weather will now affect the gameplay is good enough for me for 26. What I would like to see going forward, obviously, is continue to dig on it. I want to see it because they don't mention, I said this in my video earlier, I don't see any mention of dynamic weather. That's key. Meaning we just out there, right? It's cold. We in Pittsburgh and it just starts snowing in third quarter. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think this foundation gives you the ability for that to happen. Y'all remember that game I went to? Side note, remember I went to the Cardinals game last year? And I did that video showing people while at I still call it Heinz Field, it poured down rain, and then this super crazy rainbow came out, and I was like, oh, we might win. Stuff like that, I think, would be possible now that they even have weather affecting gameplay. So now it's not too far-fetched to say, all right, now let's make it happen on the fly. So it might not be in this year's game, man. But again, wrapping it up and throwing it to Smitty, this right here, man, it's football, guys. It's all of the stuff that we've talked about.
You see that? You see that, Sam?
Immersion. What's up? Hold on, let me see.
No, Ray Weather's comment.
Oh, Ray Weather. Let's see. Let's put him on the big screen. From what I've heard, dynamic weather coming real soon, next year later. See? This is what I'm saying. And it should be obvious. And I say that because I don't want to give the naysayers any light, man. But I'm like, it's crazy to me to see how much hate is being spewed before we see any of this. Like, what? This is stuff that we've been wanted, but now we trying to dissect. Come on, man. Like, I just don't understand that. Everybody has asked for this. Most sim heads have asked for this type of situation.
Yeah.
Now, we'll see the evolution, but that's all I got. Love it. I want to see it in action before I'm waving pom-poms, and that goes for every one of these features. But what you got, Smitty?
I'll say this first. I got to re-download FIFA 25, and I need to tamper with the weather sliders because
I forgot about that.
What Ray Weather said in his video earlier was that they got a slider in there for it. So not only can you turn it on and off, but they got a slider in there for it. So you can adjust it to say, man, I want maximum impact of the weather on the game or minimal or whatever. So I'm going to go in FIFA. I mean, obviously it's soccer, but see, this is the cool part. They got that tuned for soccer and how it can impact the soccer game. I want to be able to see how is it going to impact the football game. So, but see, the principal fact, the part that had me excited and had me ooh and ah was like, oh, you can turn it on and off, and not cutting it on and off, but oh, you got a slider? You can adjust the effectiveness of all of this. I'm like, oh, let's go. So that has me excited for it. But, and even once again, what they show, I got it on Twitter looking at it here. Someone, Mike Straw was tweeting out, James Cook, and showing from the video the way he juked, or the way he changed direction with the spin move that he did. He didn't do a regular spin move. It's like he had to kind of gather himself, put his hand down there on the ground, and then spin. Like, I want to see, because everybody's not, regardless of rate. That's the thing we talked about when it wasn't in there. Before, regardless of ratings, that weather can have a severe impact on a player. It doesn't matter what your rating is. Depending upon your position and whatever it is that's happening, that you could be slipping and sliding if you're doing too much. You can have you could be 99 agility, 99 acceleration, and you slipping and sliding. You see what I'm saying? Like, that can happen. It's possible. What happened with the Ravens? The Ravens tight end, my man dropped all them passes.
Oh yeah, Andrew.
Because of that rain. That rain messed it up. And I'm just saying, now, how many of y'all are going to be okay with that? Yo, I want this rain to be crazy effective and all that. All right. But now, for those people that want to mess with sliders, mess with catch sliders. Mess with that weather. And see how they said the player movement is going to be impacted accordingly. So, in terms of physics. So, what about that impact? I mean, they shown an example of it in the trailer. Guy was in rain, tried to catch it, couldn't corral it because, contact made and the ball being wet and anything like that. And that's what I'm saying. How far is that well going to go this year? Is it going to just be on catches, the ball gets wet, ball control in terms of running. What about passing? Is it going to be impacting passing trajectories? Are those passes going to come out wobbly, to a degree? You know what I mean? Like, just because of the weather. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see wear and tear. Can you possibly get injured work? What if your player is slipping and sliding on the field and everything like that, trying to block cats, and you slip? You know what I mean? Like, is your footing? I mean, I think that would be too intricate. But I'm saying, what if you know what I mean? But I'm just saying though, if you play in wild weather, can it possibly increase your risk of injury?
Yeah.
Because you slipping and sliding and falling all over the field potentially, plus you taking that contact, and you know what I mean? Does it double the risk? Do you get more fatigue because you're trying to hold your ground as a blocker and you're trying to push as a D lineman? You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be more of a challenge. Like, how do they calculate that per se? So that's what it really has me intrigued, not only for what they got this year, but just like what E-Ray said with having dynamic weather. What about next year? Next year, what we could be talking about right now, if it ain't here this year, it could very possibly be in the next game. So that's what I'm just saying. I'm excited, bro. So throw it to you, SCN, man. What you think on that?
So they exceeded my expectations as far as weather is concerned. I just wanted something visual, man. I was like, can we at least get Madden 25, the original weather where the snow accumulated and piled up throughout the game? I was just wanting something that aesthetically looked better. This was above and beyond what I wanted from them. And so I'm grateful for that. I definitely want to see what this actually looks like, though, when it's not engine footage. It's like gameplay, because it looks so good with the fog in the trailer. It looks like that heavy snow that you guys got on the PC mods. I want to make sure it actually looks like that in gameplay. That's my one holdup, to make sure it looks like that. And then, like Smitty said, is it going to affect passing? But one thing that would be really cool, if you could pin Wavy Gemini's comment, Sim, because you know how right now in the game, you get that little press the square button, your coach feedback pops up, and it'll like recommend, oh, the team has XYZ player, we should target this. What if this was a coach suggestion? Hey, we're getting a lot of snow this week. Do you want to go with longer cleats?
Yeah.
Your players will be a little bit slower, but they'll slip less. And we have that option. And for that game, as Wavy suggested, there's an acceleration and speed decrease on top of what would have already been, or no, you slip less, but you also have an acceleration and speed decrease on top of what would already been there. Like, you have that chess match, right? And you're a Steelers fan, so you have weather games. I'm a Packers fan. We get weather's games. We know the advantage that our teams have from hosting teams in that weather, and they know what kind of cleats to wear, and it matters. So I just wanted to call that out, because I thought that was a fantastic idea he just threw out that I didn't even think of. That would be really cool if it was thrown in, So, well, there we go. Ray Weather says it looks great in game. So, all right. Yeah, my expectations, I mean, I didn't have much expectations for weather, so I'm a happy camper.
But that would be cool, though. But now, and like I said, it may not be in this year's game, but it would be nice if it could be part of your game prep to prepare. Like, if you going into, hey, it's going to be a rainy game, it would be nice if you could prepare for that, because technically that's what happened this past season when we went in the Lambeau and beat y'all, because they prepped by wetting the field on purpose, and they played on a wet surface. And when they went to Lambeau, they looked like they were so comfortable.
We had the turnovers, you guys didn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were comfortable playing in that environment. Like I thought we was like, man, it's gonna be a rough game, but see, then when I heard like, DC had them prepare. They had them played all week on a wet field, so that way they could get accustomed to the conditions being rough like that. So that's what I'm just saying. Like, that would be sweet.
My man coming through. Read that.
The weather. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, because I was just going to read. I was going to say it might be parts of that there.
Right.
And I wanted to read this too that kind of goes with that. This little piece of the blurb, it says, we've also added finer details, making the elements a part of home field where cold weather teams will not get as impacted when they're playing in cold and wet as warm weather teams. Mm-hmm. But to balance that, when playing in extreme heat, those cold weather teams will tire out faster, which is a little detail with a big impact. That came straight from NFL players. That's the stuff. And I'll say that to me sounds like definitely how does that happen when it's dynamic? So if dynamic weather comes next year, whatever, that really would play a factor. We didn't even know it was going to snow. and you in Miami,
you don't know
team,
ahead of time if it's snowing now, right? Like, you don't know the weather. So that's new, where we know the weather before we go into the game. That's definitely new. I was going to say, I think I get surprised if I go into a game and I get excited. I'm like, oh, sweet, snow game, weather game, like, it's kind of cool. Now you'll know ahead of time.
This is cool, man. All right, let's keep it moving, guys. We're almost through it. This right here, man. I mean, I don't even think I have to comment. Foundational football is so much in this little blurb. Wow. It just screams fundamentals, man. It's little stuff here like the custom zones. I think this is where I saw this. Oh, yeah. Where it says you'll be able to set the depth chart and your zone defenders at the line of scrimmage to take away pesky corner routes from your opponent. So that makes me believe that perhaps zone drops might not be there anymore because you have custom zones. With explosive locomotion, a player who runs a 4.2 in the 40 will feel like 4.2 in the 40. OG actually talked about that on X earlier. He says, we want our players to feel the visceral difference between fast and explosive. Explosive NFL gameplay. And they just continue to, here it is. I'll say this. Our explosive locomotion differentiates the north to south speed athlete like Tyreek Hill versus a wiggly east-west player like Jahmyr Gibbs. So I saw some people ask in the chat earlier, will there be different running styles? I can't confirm that, but that right there is at least different loco, depending on the type of player. And it brings me back to my question when we first started. How deep does the hole go with NFL data?
Right.
How deep is that? Because there's nuggets that they're giving us, but they're not outright telling us. So anytime you say foundational or fundamental football to me, you got me. That's all I got. What you got on that, Smitty?
I'm taking it with a, grain of salt.
Yeah.
I'm taking it with a grain of salt right now, but I'm gonna take it with a pound of sugar when the deep dive come out. Like, it's like, the speed, they talked about it in college too. So that's the whole thing. Both of these games, they talked about that speed the same way. It's like, if a dude's is fast, he's fast. And you're going to see that difference in the game in NCAA and this. So to show that differential and say, because Tyreek Hill, yes, he's blazing fast. Jahmyr Gibbs is blazing fast too, but he also cuts and jukes a little bit more. His directional change speed is dang near, I would say, kind of Barry-esque to a degree, because it's like he changes direction without losing much speed. Like he plants and he's out that plant quick.
Yeah.
Super duper quick. Going from west to east, side to side, all that good stuff. So, but see, the mere fact of the matter, they talking about a player who runs a 4-2 is going to feel like it in the game. For years, even us going to the studio, we've been saying the same thing. It's like, how can you have these differentials? Because reason why, these receivers do not take that long to run these routes. They take too long to run some of these routes.
Yeah.
If you're doing a shot play, it take too long. Play action take too long. They like them cats they need to be gone. So when I saw that in the college, I was like, ooh, because automatically I'm like, so if the receiver, and this is why I'm just gonna say this real quick. I just thought about it now. I think that's why if everything stays the course, I think that's why they're not putting out a massive beta. Because I can see this being like Backbreaker when it first came out. Because think about it. If wide receivers can run their routes that fast and get open, and you saying if they are running that fast and they're getting there, they're able to do that, then we're not going to have that pocket presence time like how it used to be anymore. Because you can't have all that time in the pocket the way that Madden run them routes now, and they running that fast, bro. They've been ran their route twice. So I honestly think that's what that means. That they're going to make this like you're not going to have that much time in the pocket. If they do, bet, because now you got to use the mechanics. You actually have to use them. You got to slide your protections. You got to pay attention to your front.
Absolutely.
You got to audible that. All right, yo, I'm gonna run out of this package right now. I need that 2 tight end package. I need that jumbo set. I needed it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to have to really modify your style of play, which is great. I welcome it. But as far as everything here with the game plan and everything like that, dude, I mean, from the player movement, the gameplay, the locomotion, customizing the defensive zones, like at first I was thinking about, they're talking about the adjustments like we had in NCAA with the defense. No, this is something more. This is definitely something more. I mean, that's how it appears. So I'm looking forward to it. The stunts, all of that. And yeah, it's some of it's stuff of old. I don't care. I'm glad that they're putting it back in the game. It needed to be there. And I'm excited that it's here. As long as it's effectively working, I'm glad it's here and I'm excited for it. You know what I'm saying? So look, and I always said, when you got guys like QJB who's sitting up here talking about gameplay aspect, he don't do that. I was saying at the HDN offline. He don't do that. He isn't. He is a purebred entertainer. He is a chill, relaxed cat. But for him to be saying it, it's like, all right, EA did something. Because Q don't say nothing except he just play the game, mind his own business. So to hear Q say something, especially he was talking about the weather and said he had a low-scoring game. He's like, bro, that weather definitely makes an impact. I'm like, oh, my man. You know what I'm saying? Say that. As soon as he said that, I'm like, you just spoke volumes in a few words. All right, thank you. Because for him to say it, EA did something. Like, it's one thing when I hear it from E-Ray, but when I hear it from Q, then it's like, oh, yeah, if Q up here saying the same thing that E-Ray is saying, all right. So, no, I'm excited. Once again, it all sounds great. Of course, we all know they got to execute. So this is not about, well, we got to temper it till they execute. We're going to find out if they execute or not. But I'm just saying, with Scott OG, and then I'll throw it back, I'll throw it to SGN. If Scott OG is on these dev teams, along with everybody else, I mean, they're all capable. But I'm saying, seeing what they did, if this game comes out like NCAA 25 did, or EA, college football 25, if it came out like 25 did, dog, we there, like we in there. I mean, with some problems, but I ain't gonna sit up here and be like, but But Madden 25 on PS4 was supposed to. No, man, look, we'll it'll be okay. But NFL 2K5 did. We'll be okay.
Who cares?
You know what I'm saying? like it'll be all right. You know. So like, dude, if it's hitting, I'm gonna be enjoying it, and that's my hope. That's all I'm just saying. I just don't want to see dudes trying so hard to move that line and move the goalposts and be like, but Madden 08 on PS2 had like let's not do all of that. You know what I'm saying? If it's here now, it's here now, and that's all I'm saying. Like this is all good stuff. This is what we've wanted. We made 18 billion videos when they didn't do it. Now that we're seeing it, let's not do that whole move the goalposts. Like that's what I'm talking about. Just execute and deliver. All we're looking for is them to execute. That's it. So, but go ahead, SG. I'll throw it to you. What you got on it?
I'm gonna drop a hot take that I hope people don't come for me, because you won't catch me asking for EA to remove features very often from the game, with the exception of archetypes and XP based progression. But I look at what they talk about with the speed versus explosion that they're talking about in that little tidbit there. And if they actually program it correctly, so speed and the difference between speed and explosion is correct, and 4-2 feels like 4-2, then I'm going to make a hot take. Take out the player threshold slider. Take it out. If you program this correctly, we do not need that slider to make players feel 4-2.
Don't need to
be
burst either.
Yep, I agree.
Take it out.
We do not.
The only time I'll ask for them to take something away.
Yep. Nope. I fully agree. I fully agree with that.
Yep. I've been saying for years, I mean, you should have the ability to decelerate, but I've been saying for years we don't need a speed burst if it's programmed correctly. Because just like Smitty said, I should be able to hit the left with Jameer and that boom, he just cuts quick. Or if it's the fastest guy in the league and I hit the corner, he's out. I don't have to hold the trigger down. He gone.
Well, the biggest thing with that too is we know that the defensive line disengages as soon as you hit that turbo button. It's like an automatic thing. It's not. It's just like, oh, you hit the turbo button, we disengage from our block just automatically. So I don't like, I mean, bring it back to, like you said, no burst button. Like, it's like we're going back and forth on features. They took away the turbo button, then everyone wanted it back, so they brought it back, and now it's like, but if you're going to bring it back and have it be where if you use it to hit a hole and to make the game challenging, we're going to automatically disengage the defensive linemen so they can tackle you. I mean, just get rid of it.
I'm with you, man. Let's see what we got left. Presentation. Okay, I'm only going to talk about franchise and presentation. All that other ultimate. No.
Yeah, no.
And I'm going to be very brief, guys, with this because time is dwindling down. But I will say this. It's so much that I'm waiting to see from franchise mode for a couple of reasons. Some stuff that I've heard from people, knowing Josh Lumen is there, and Josh Lumen did say, hey, last year in 25, I'm going to put a couple little things in the scenarios, but, I got here. I'm not going to be able to do anything with this game. But we will be bringing franchise back to what it needs to be. So if you just read the blog here, it's giving you a high level. But the main thing that I will talk about right here, this is something that we have been asking for forever. Even when NBA Live was being made, and I would always ask in studio, how is it the worst game that y'all have on the market has the best halftime show? Please explain this to me. Do y'all remember the halftime show for NBA Live?
Yeah. Yep.
It was ESPN. It was beautiful. It says here that franchise comes alive with enhanced presentation, including halftime shows and weekly recaps with Scott Hansen, and an all-new broadcast package for Sunday, Monday, and Thursday primetime games. Hallelujah. And again, this is not my only excitement. Y'all know that stuff that we already talked about is going to benefit in franchise mode. So I'm definitely looking to see the depth in franchise mode. So we'll wait for the deep dive. But that right there, finally, what has taken so long? And it's funny, guys, when they mentioned Scott Hansen, I had meant to do a video back then a few months back saying, hey, what if this means that he's not just going to be what's the guy's name? Coach somebody who's the halftime voice now. He's not just going to be the replacement, but maybe they're using him to do what he does in the real world. And it was just a thought, never got around to the video. And lo and behold, this is what they're doing. So obviously they're adding depth to franchise mode. Y'all know that's my love. You know, I think it's the love of most simulation gamers. We love the season. Building the team, going through the story, the immersion, on and off field, presentation to tell the story. Halftime, I mean, that was one of the best things in 2K5 back in the day when I played it the first time. I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is Chris Berman. Like, so I'm happy that it's back. But I'll pass it to you, Smitty, because I know we got so much to talk about with franchise mode once we find out everything that's coming with it. So
yeah, like I ain't gonna say too much about it right now. All I will say is that, and I mean they're essentially they're hinting at the coach DNA, just kind of setting a little bit into the franchise mode aspect of it. But I mean, I will say this: I like the focus on coaching because now it matters. See, that's the whole thing. The key thing about franchise mode is having stakes and making things actually matter. Like they said with the wear and tear, upgraded trainer roles means trainer abilities are used to manage wear and tear. So if you got guys that are hurting everything, you got to actually invest in your trainer. You know what I'm saying? You got to invest in their abilities to be great along with your own. So that's why I'm like, those stakes being involved, you know, it makes a difference now. You know what I mean? You got to give a care. Like, give me stuff. And I've said it in the past. Give us stuff in these modes that make us give a care. You know what I'm saying? That like make me be concerned about, oh snap, I got to find a replacement for so and so. Oh man, I got to do this. Oh man, I got to do that. Like make me have to care. So that way I can't just be like, I could sign Joe Schmo from over there and put him on the team, and I ain't missing a beat. It's like, no. Like, we lost Frank Ragnow. Our O-line should suffer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to legit be able to see the O-line suffer because of that change. Like, you can't lose a 3-time All-Pro center all of a sudden and just think that, oh, all is well and we'll be all right. No, that's what they need to have. You know, they got to have something along that line. So that's all. I look forward to the deep dive. But these core gameplay elements and the systems that we talked about earlier is what is potentially going to make franchise mode feel robust for a change and give us a lot more to be immersed with, not just on the virtual field, but even off of it as well. So, yeah. But go ahead, SCN. Go ahead, fam.
Yeah, I'll keep it short too. My big thing on this is just going to be coaching abilities. Keep it realistic, no absolutes. The example they gave was simply an increase to a blocking chance. I'm hoping that the other coaching abilities are similar. I don't want any arcade absolute abilities. That's my big takeaway.
Yeah, man. And there was one other thing that I did want to mention really quick. I want to know more about these play sheets. It says playbooks become a large focus for your franchise this year with play sheets. Play sheets are another component of your weekly game planning, allowing you to add extra plays to your playbook. The play sheets you'll be able to access depends on how you level up your coach. So I want to see more about that and hear more about that. Because I've always said this, and this is just a quick side note before we get into presentation. I don't think NFL players go to the game with their entire playbook. I think they come with a game plan. I don't know that to be true. I just don't feel like the amount of plays that we see in Madden, coaches have that on their little card. So I would love, again, this is extremely sim. I would love to have it to where you have to create your plan or play sheet, and that's what you go to the game with. Because you've built this based off of your scouting based on your opponent. So this is how we're going to attack them. However many plays you put on there is what it is, but those are the only plays or the play sheet that you have to call plays from. That would be incredible because it would make guys like us spend a lot of time off the field trying to figure out, the Packers, I know they got the young, up and coming quarterback, and I'm going to call him a young stud. They got some speed on the outside. Like, dang, man, how are we going to defend his ability? And I only can call plays that tailors our defense to try to stop Jordan Love. That's what I would love to see going forward. So I am curious to see what these play sheets are. So just wanted to add that.
Can you pin Derek's comment?
Derek Rogers. Yeah. Here we go.
I mean, because he knows. He knows. I mean, that's how many they come out. 15 plays for your first, 1 or 2 drives, and then 75 total is what they prep for every single week. So mostly same concept, different formations. So yeah, I mean, what better source, I would love that.
I would love it, man. That would be, that's just, again, guys, y'all are hearing us say a lot of this stuff because we're just extreme simulation style guys. And a lot of the stuff that we're saying, we're not saying it has to be in 26. We're just thinking about now that it seems that EA has brought these sweeping changes. Now we can kind of feel good about our suggestions again. Like, hey, maybe they might do this. Because for years, me and Smitty, we knew a lot of this stuff was just being put on the back burner. It was almost depressing. Like, we'd be in the studio with the devs, and it was times that the devs would come, secretly walk up to us, hey, y'all, thanks for saying that, because I was just having a fight upstairs about, and we like, yo, this is crazy. We see how Rex left. We like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, because he wanted to put too much, I'm going to say it, because he wanted to put too much football in the game? What?
Yeah.
So to be at this point, now we're back excited of saying, oh, well, maybe they will make a great game again. We'll see. Presentation, man. Was there anything I wanted to pull out from what it said here? I definitely like the atmosphere stuff. Crowd chants, new runouts, pregame traditions. I even like them having an authentic look on the coaches. They talk about Dan Campbell a little bit. I think the uniforms is cool. That's going to match the theme of the field. That's kind of cool. But I am waiting. Again, I'm going to hold my thoughts and opinion on overall presentation for the deep dive, because I hope what I really want to see is, and they brushed on it a little bit when they talked about the broadcast packages and all of that. I'm really hoping we have some better, more immersive presentation, like in game, overlays and just recalling what happened in the game, more of those stats and more of those type of, Smitty used to say this all the time, kind of like how they did when NHL, when they went away from NBC and they created their own presentation package. I want to see something like that in Madden. It's just been too bare bones and too, we knew what was coming.
Yeah.
You could almost guess the cutscene. Like, I just want to see something new there. I don't know if they really mention it here other than the broadcast packages, but I'm thinking that there's some stuff that they're just not telling us about presentation yet. So I'll reserve my excitement for that until the deep dive, because it does say here right at the bottom for both. It's all in the details, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. We can't wait to share more with you in regards to franchise and presentation. And I have heard from some folk, hey, man, that blog, that's very vague. So I'm like, okay, we shall see. So that's what I got on that one. What you got, Smitty?
Well, I mean, at this point right now, the main thing that really stands out is just them having the number one, the coaches and their look, how they appeal and everything like that, or what have you. The biggest thing for me, and I know it's not necessarily shown in the presentation portion, but it's really in the franchise mode portion. Seeing how those halftime shows look, seeing how those post game and weekly wrap ups look. Like, I want to see how that is presented.
Mm-hmm.
Did they do what NHL did and use like what SGM was mentioning not too long ago? Did they use their own package? You know what I'm saying? Like their own in-house design crew and do basically like what they did for NHL. Same thing.
Scott Witt? Is Scott Witt NFL Network?
Yes.
Who he is?
Yes, because he works. So he does NFL Red Zone, which is owned by NFL Network, I believe.
Oh boy!
Because the NFL Network had its own separate Sunday ticket, but when YouTube bought it, or then it switched over to him. I might be completely wrong with that. I'm pretty sure he is with NFL Network because NFL Red Zone is tied to NFL Network because they're all owned by the NFL.
Don't quote me on this, guys. I'm just thinking as Smitty's talking there. Is there any chance that we will see some NFL Network branding? Like, again, I talk about NBA Live. Like NBA Live was ESPN's NBA on the ESPN's halftime show. Is there a chance that we see some NFL Network presentation where we all talk about the licensing and all of that and why we've never used NBC and ABC and all of that? But I wonder if they will flirt with it a little bit because Scott Hansen is over there. I'm just spitballing. I don't know, but just makes me wonder. That could be interesting.
Okay.
But we'll see.
For me on presentation, my big focus is instant replay. Because right now, two things kind of happen on instant replay. Number one, the camera angle is, it's like you're on the field instead of like a presentation style replay. But number two, if you have a long touchdown, typically the instant replay is like the last 25 yards, you got your guy just running into the end zone. They don't actually showed what happened. You know, if you have a pick six, like an 85-yard pick six or something like that, the instant replay more often than not doesn't show the quarterback dropping back, throwing it, your guy intercepting it, and then running it back in. You just get the guy running it in the last 15, 20 yards. I would really appreciate if they went back to the replay cameras from when they had that CBS style presentation. And for anyone who's watching this video right now, if you still have Madden 25, Madden 15, Madden 16 somewhere laying around, go in there, play just so you get an instant replay. The camera angles are like what you see in real NFL, but not only that, Phil Simms would break down the play in the instant replay. Now, the commentators do not address anything that's going on in the instant replay. You have a big pass play, and they'll show it, and they're talking about something else random, whereas we actually had it at one point in a game where Phil Simms would break down why that play happened, and it made sense every time, and the camera angle gave you a really good view of what happened. And that's why I constantly find myself going back and playing Madden 15, Madden 25 every now and then because of that right there. And so if they can get something there with like replays actually being discussed and broken down like commentators do in real life, and we have good angles on it, I'm happy.
Yeah, I think that was that the one with Phil, or I'm thinking Collinsworth?
Jim
Which
Nance
one?
and Phil Sims.
Which one had EA? What was it? EA Rewind or something like that?
That was 09.
That was Madden 09.
Yeah, I almost would be a fan of that too, man. And of course you could skip it, but kind of merging the two of like what SGN just said and Rewind. Like, if you're not gonna have that, at least have it to what like SGN said. If you want to feel that immersion, right, especially in franchise, I want to hear the commentators commentate on what just happened. And where you add that rewind element, it was kind of like now they're gonna tell you, hey, well, this worked because da 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 da. They caught him in a cover one, and and you can't put a guy with 4.2 speed out there, and as you see, he just runs right over the top. Like that kind of stuff. That's immersion. And again, folks, this is stuff that we've seen in the game before. So we're not asking for anything that's not possible. We've seen it before. So I'm with you on that one, SG. And I didn't even think about instant replay in that regard, but I fully agree. Immersion, folks, that's again, I always say this. Simulation sports and simulation gamers, to me, is all about more than just the gameplay. It's three elements. It's presentation. Is the game living and breathing with the immersion and gameplay. That's a simulation game. Atmosphere, commentators, all of that. That is simulation. So that's why you hear us talk about these things, even though some of y'all say, oh, I thought you was a gameplay guy. I am. But gameplay that's not just it when you talk about simulation. So, man, this was great. I'm glad we were able to get this show done tonight, man. And I'm glad, that SGN reached out and, wanted to come on. We was like, of course, we did it on Wednesday for full transparency, man. I want to watch the finals tomorrow. So I asked Smitty, I said, hey, man, you want to do a little pre-recorded segment? And then as it got a little more excited, I said, you know what, let's just do it live. I had some stuff to do. I'm sorry for running late, guys, but my son's practice tonight for his AAU or what have you. But we knew we had to do a show this week. It was impossible not to. And we appreciate everybody tuning in. But one last final thing I would say to you guys and in the chat in regards to weather, small thing, but I kind of want to see. I would love to see the body create some type of disruption in the snow, right? Not just feet. If I fall, I want to see that slide. It's just that visual element because I see that, and shout outs to them. I see Maximum Football is putting that in. So come on, Madden. Don't let it just be the placebo footprints. I also want to see when I get tackled and it kicks up, I want to see my shoulder be able to, create a divot in the ground and things like that. I don't know if it's in or not. I'm just saying that's something I would like to see as well. And if it's not in 26, again, now start adding more of the bells and whistles, those little cherries on top that just takes immersion to a whole nother level. And speaking of which, is degradation going to be more?
Oh, yeah,
now?
present on the field. Yeah. Ooh.
So
that's a good point.
Little stuff like that, guys. And again, we're keeping, at least for me, and I think I can speak for these guys, we're keeping our expectations realistic for this game. That we have, in my opinion, I have never seen in the time since me and Smitty first went down to EA Sports in 2012. In that duration of time, we have never seen this much stuff addressed in one Madden.
Right.
Of things that the community has asked for. So I'm not going to take it easy on my feedback, but I will say, hey, man, like, I'm not looking for perfection here. This is a lot. I'm happy that we're at this point, and now we can start looking towards the future. But it all does depend on how they execute.
Mm.
And we all agree on that point. So, but all right, man, I guess we can wrap this thing up. But I'm definitely going to ask Smitty and SGN if there's anything else you want to mention before we get out of here.
No, nothing else. Pretty much. I mean, it was a great show and everything, and I look forward to the actual deep dives. And I don't know if we'll be able to get on the beta or not. But I mean, like I, for one, can definitely appreciate these betas, these kind of notes. So I look forward to the franchise and presentation, gameplay. I look forward to it all. So.
Yeah, all I'm going to say is, number one, thank you for letting me come on. This has been a dream of mine for a couple of years now, and Smitty knows that too, because I've mentioned to it a couple times, and I was like, man, I would just, this would be amazing to come on with you guys, because it's tough finding people who think the same as you with these games, but are passionate about it as well, and that's what I hope people take away from this is there's criticism, there's praise, but it's all derived from passion. And so I think that's extremely important. But I also just gonna throw this out there for all the people, we're keeping our expectations reserved. Get excitement. It's all about, as Ray Weather said in his video, it's all about how it's executed. But I just little tidbits for those NFL 2K fans out there. Weather that they're bringing sounds a lot like the weather in All Pro Football 2K8. Coaching DNA sounds a lot like the VIP system. Presentation sounds a lot like what we had in ESPN NFL 2K5 too. And I know your head's going there too, Sim. So I was like, so it's like they're touching on some things that, if executed and implemented correctly, we're going to have that nostalgia and maybe fill some of that missing void that we've had for 20 years now. So,
yeah. And why complain about that? I just don't understand. I will never understand being mad about things that we pound the table for that wasn't there, and it gets there, and now we're upset. I don't understand that, man. I'm sorry, I just don't. I get if you want to say, well, 2K did it. Yeah, they did. This is the reason why we've been asking for it. But if we finally have gotten here, I am not going to chump the effort. I'm going to be happy that we got here. Something made it change. Like I said, I'm not going to get into it tonight. I have a couple theories, and maybe we'll use that for another show. I will say this. I'll end it with this. I do not believe it has anything to do with them being in the contract year. I don't. How many contract years have we seen EA in over the last 15 years? Didn't change nothing. So if you want to say college did it, maybe. I would just say this. I think something happened that got the suit's attention. That's what I will say without going too far. And it's not too far. I'm just saying without having another hour worth of show. Something happened that got the suit's attention. And Smitty and I have been telling y'all this for the last, I'd say, 5 years. I know I haven't been on an EA visit in at least, I may have went before COVID. I can't remember if Madden 20 or one of them was the last one that I was there for. But guys, we've been saying, once the suits decide that this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to get. And I don't know what made them do that, especially this fast in one cycle. Because, I'm going to quote Smitty on this one. Smitty has repeatedly said, man, they can't do all this stuff in one fell swoop in a single cycle. And look at what? I've never seen anything like this before. So
from any game.
So whatever ticked them off, thank you, whatever that was. If it was another gaming, one of their internal games or somebody on the investor call, listen, whoever is responsible for this, thank you very much. And it looks like we will be able to enjoy some EA football come this summer. So in the meantime, I'll be enjoying the Sabo mod. Wow. That's all I'm going to say. But all right, man, we're going to go ahead and sign off. I got husband duties to do. But again, thank y'all for tuning in, man. No show tomorrow. This is the show. Enjoy the finals. Happy gaming. Happy weekend. And thank y'all for tuning in, man. We'll catch y'all in the next one.
All right. Peace.